No mai haere mai, welcome to 3 News. The government's been accused of greenlighting the killing of Kiwi. New legislation to allow for the accidental deaths of native wildlife during infrastructure projects was passed under urgency today. It comes amid mounting pressure on the government to reverse another bill it rushed through the parliament, with protests planned for tomorrow against the changes to pay equity. Here's political correspondent Jenna Lynch.
Unloading precious cargo inside these brown boxes, the wee brown bird we all know and love.
It's the most valuable cargo I've ever had in my plane, and that does include my children.
The little spotted kiwi's great homecoming.
Kiwi pukapuku haven't been present around the Nelson region for over 100 years. So they're returning back home.
The effort to save the kiwi has been enormous, but today Parliament passed a bill that would enable the legal killing of native species, including kiwi.
Is going to go down in history as the moment this government decided that roads and coal mines needed protecting from skinks and kiwi rather than the other way around.
The issue arose through the Transport Agency building the Mount Messenger bypass, a 6-kilometre road that'll divert away from the current steep winding road in North Taranaki. But the project encroaches on the home of protected species, the North Island brown kiwi, kokako, long-tailed bats and striped skinks. The Department of Conservation had given the Transport Agency permission to move the native species out of the way and escape prosecution should they kill any accidentally. That is normal, it has been happening for years, but this time the High Court ruled it illegal, so the government stepped in to make it legal again.
What we needed to do as a result of the High Court decision over Mount Messenger is sort it and fix it, which is what we've done.
For the first time in New Zealand's history, it is enabled for the authorisation of killing of wildlife in an act that was designed to protect them.
Greenpeace labelling it the Kiwi Killing Bill.
No, this is ensuring that roads and mines and jobs can flourish. And look, there's thousands of Kiwis.
Legalising the killing of native wildlife is Trumpian-style environmental vandalism. I think that the majority of New Zealand voters would be up in arms to know that this government wants to sacrifice kiwi and other native wildlife just to build roads faster.
The legislation passed under urgency, much like the controversial pay equity changes passed yesterday, which have sparked an uproar.
The significant savings to the government will come from the pockets of women working in jobs that are undervalued.
Protests are planned across the country tomorrow after the government booked billions of dollars in savings for its budget through making it harder to progress pay equity claims.
It is the case that the number of new initiatives in this budget would not have been possible without some of the savings we are making, and those savings have allowed us to invest more in big capital projects like hospitals and schools than would have otherwise been the case.
The government won't say how much money it saved from changing the law.
Is the funding that's coming from women's pay the biggest generator of savings in your budget?
I reject the statement in the first part of your question. We're not taking any women's pay away.
So they've got a figure, and I think the public deserve to know what that is.
Is the majority of the savings coming from the pay equity bill?
Look, I'll make that all clear at the budget, but savings have come from a range of sources.
The government also redacted all the advice it received on possible human rights implications on the basis of it being legally privileged.
We're asking for transparency because we would like to see the human rights advice that was given to government to understand what the human rights implications are for women.
The law came completely out of the blue. The proper government advice process wasn't followed due to fear of it leaking. Even most national MPs were kept in the dark while the policy was developed.
We briefed the caucus on Sunday night.
The Prime Minister not concerned about a backlash from women voters.
New Zealand men and women actually appreciate having a government that's focused on the things that matter most to them. And of course, whether I talk to women or men, what everyone's focused on is cost of living.
Of course, part of the equation of the cost of living is how much you get paid.
Well, Jenna joins us now live from the Parliament. Kia ora, Jenna. How politically damaging is this for the government?
Yeah, those questions that Nicola Willis is facing around how much this has generated in savings are not going to go away. And let's be clear, there is no reason for that number to remain a secret. The overall pool of money that the government keeps for pay equity claims is kept secret so as not to weaken their negotiating position. But you can keep the old number secret, you can keep the new number secret. All anyone is asking for is the gap in between those numbers. There is no reason for them to hide that from the public. National's putting on a really brave face when it comes close to the political impact of this, and they would have been heartened by a poll that was released today by the Taxpayers Union. They went up 1.1 points. The right still had the ability to govern. There's a little bit of movement on the left, but it did have some numbers that will be very concerning for them in there. And that is the right track, wrong track measure. So 46% think the country is headed in the wrong direction, whereas only 33.3% think the country is going in the right direction. That is a drop of 8.5 percentage points from last month. Now, this poll didn't take into account the shock policy. It won't be till that next round of numbers, probably after the budget, until the government sees how much of an impact this has had on their voter base.
Jenna, thanks so much. Thanks for your analysis as always. And I just want to say all the best for the coming months as you head off on maternity leave. In fact, I'm sure wrangling a toddler and a baby probably won't be too dissimilar to what you have to contend with there in the Parliament some days. So go well, and we'll look forward to seeing you when you are back.